All righty. With that, let's get started. Hello, MVLA parents and students. You are logging into the session Student Voice, MVLA Alumni and Senior Panel. We are beginning with the Alumni panel this evening until 7:40. At 7:40, we will introduce our seniors who will share their experiences until 8:10. During the talk, parents and students feel free to use the Q&A to ask questions as if we might have time to answer these questions later. And then panelists, you don't need to use the Q&A while you're talking. I'll be managing it for you, and I'll ask some questions out at the end so that way you don't have to manage multiple things. And thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to the MVLA Foundation for making this possible. So let's go around and each one of you introduce yourself, your college name, what you think your major will be is, and which high school you attended. I'll prompt which panelists will go next. And panelists, I'm very thankful for your time once again. So Kara, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Kira. I go to UCSB and I'm currently a history major and a museum studies minor. And then next fall, I'm going to be adding a double major in global studies. And then my favorite event during high school was just like any school sports.
Busy lady. Excellent. Thank you. Michael, you're next.
Hi, my name is Michael Tayag. I currently attend San Jose State University, and my major is biological science. My favorite memory from high school would probably be grad night. That was fun.
Excellent. Thank you. Mackenzie, you're next.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Adams, and I went to Mountain View High School. I'm currently at UC Irvine, and and I'm an education sciences major, and my favorite event was probably all of the football games.
Thanks. Vanya, you're next.
Hi, I'm Vanya. I went to Mountain View and I'm currently at Indiana University studying marketing, information systems, and business analytics. And my favorite high school event was definitely Battle of the Classes.
Excellent. Rohan, you're next.
Hi, my name is Rohan. I went to Los Altos and I'm at UC Berkeley now, studying econ and data science double major. And my favorite high school event was also football games.
Okay, it's a popular choice. And last but not least, Jesleen.
Hi, I'm Justine. I went to Los Altos. I'm a data science major at the Air Force Academy, and my favorite high school memory was probably competing for the cross country team.
Excellent. Thank you guys for being so on it today. So first question, you are college students. What do you wish you had known or believed about the college process when you were in high school? So let's start off with Michael for this one.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I always knew that the college process it would go by really quickly, and I knew that I had to manage my deadlines, especially when it came to what school was taking what application and what day would be the last day I can put in my application for that school. But even after that, I still felt like I was just extremely rushed during the application. Um, my what I wish I could have done better was I wish I could have managed my time even more than I originally thought, and especially prepare for those deadlines because they come in really quickly.
Yeah, I hear that. Mackenzie, let's hear from you next.
Yeah, so I had a similar experience, but I also wish I knew that being well-rounded in the high school experience is also just as important as having good grades. So I think there's a lot of pressure on carrying your grades and having, straight A's and B's, but I think it's just as important to partake in extracurriculars.
Excellent. And then let's hear from a Los Altos student, Rohan. What about you?
I think I have a little bit different perspective on this. I think that the college process is easy, but only if you are ahead of the game. So I think that the best tip I can give is that even if you apply to a lot of schools, finish everything as early as possible, try to get everything in a spreadsheet and take your notes, and it'll be smooth sailing.
Okay, be ahead of the game. And Jesleen, what about you?
I just think like do something that you love, like no matter where you go, it's gonna be a different kind of hard. That's what we like to say. And you're gonna have like a fulfilling experience anywhere. So really just like do something that you love.
Okay. Well said. Question 2. In what ways did attending an MVLA high school prepare you for college? What do you think you were unprepared for this year? Let's start with you, Kiera.
I felt super prepared going into college, like especially academically. It really helped going to like I could tell how our high school district set us up really well, and that made it a lot easier for even I wouldn't necessarily say I struggled with the social transition, but just a lot's going on, and it was really nice to like feel confident in my academics despite like so much changing because I was prepared from like our school. I think you just need to stay confident that you know stuff. Like you graduated from Mountain Dew Los Altos, like you're pretty set.
I can see our school district recording that soundbite and playing it in the future for people. Thank you. Vanya, what about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the overall workload and rigor of like any class that you're taking at Mountain View or Los Altos prepares you for college classes and the college environment. For me, I was also in a lot of clubs and I was in ASB, so I feel like it helped me with like networking skills, like being at a business school, that's really important. So I think like just like the social part of school and how we were prepared academically both prepared me for college.
Excellent. Mackenzie, what about you?
I had a similar experience as Vanya, and I felt that the course rigor was really important going from Mountain View to UCI. And I thought that I was very prepared, especially with what my professors expected from me. So it was like it was a simple transition.
Excellent. All right. Um, because we're getting some good questions in the Q&A, I'm going to kind of be skipping around, guys. So don't worry. I'll make sure that everyone gets a chance to speak. Next, tell us about a bit about your college experience so far. So like clubs or professors or discovering a new hobby. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, it's been great. I had the opportunity to join a couple clubs, one being like a Filipino organization because I'm Filipino and I wanted to do something where I could be more involved with my culture and my community. And there I had the opportunity to meet all sorts of people who shared the sort of interest and sort of beliefs that I did. So it was a great opportunity not only for me to be more part of my community, but to also make some new friends in a new environment that I wasn't familiar with.
Excellent. What about you, Rohan?
Yeah, so I think that joining a lot of clubs and societies is a good way to make friends. And so I think that transition going into college was easy because I kind of made it my goal to meet a lot of people, join clubs. I joined club tennis, I rushed a fraternity. And so I think that that was the way for me to find my place. And I'm really grateful that I did that.
Excellent. Um, and then Jasleen, let's go with you.
Yeah, so I'm on the cross country and track team. So that's how I've like met a lot of people. And then our like school is like organized into squadrons. So we have like 40 squadrons. So we kind of are just placed with random people from the beginning and you just kind of get to meet people like and like work with people. That's who you like eat lunch with because we have mandatory lunch and assigned tables. And so you just get to talk to like a ton of different people who you would never talk to. I also joined the cadet orchestra and the South Asian club. So like that's been a really big way to like meet people outside of your squad and maybe your team and like your grade. Since as freshmen we're kind of separated from like the rest of the wing in terms of like people. And so just like getting to like meet other people that way.
It's a pretty unique experience that you have, Jasleen. Yeah. The U.S. Air Force Academy has some different approaches to things. And then let's go with the next question for Vanya. How have you made some of your friends at college so far?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a challenging experience because I mean, being from California, the Midwest is so different. So finding people, like majority of the people who go here are from Indiana, so it's a little bit harder to connect with them, just because you're raised so differently. But I think that surprisingly, like I found like such small interest through like mostly meeting people through classes and then like expanding that beyond just the class, meeting people in clubs. I've met a lot of people from California, so it's nice to have like a little connection to home. But I would say that like for the most part, it's through my clubs and classes that I've met a lot of people.
Yeah. All right. And Kara, what would you say at UCSB? But there are more people from California there.
Yeah, definitely it's primarily California residents. My like floor where I live is really close, which is not like typical. But I made a lot of friends just by like my roommates and I just like knocked on everyone's doors on the first day and now we're all friends. And then I also have like made friends through like classes. Like I just reach out to people that I like talked to in class and I'm like, can we study together? And then now I have like a friend group and we're all taking the same classes. I also joined a sorority, so that's also helped like just like putting yourself in new situations and reaching out to people.
Okay. And then Michael, how about for you? How have you made some of your friends at college so far? And then I'm going to go to some of the Q&A questions for you guys.
Yeah, just to reiterate, aside from doing all these clubs and whatnot, I also met a bunch of my close friends in lectures. A lot of the people you see, especially because you're in the same major, you're gonna have the same classes with them, choosing or going into the next semester. So many of my friends I met during the first semester, and then even to this day, I'm still sharing classes with them. So the fact that you're in that same major, you keep those connections with all those people that you met over all the classes that you attend.
All right. So one question that we got is, what are some elements of the college admissions process do you wish you started preparing for earlier? So a few of you mentioned like be ahead of things with like a spreadsheet. I do think this person is looking for like slightly more like specific pieces, maybe like essays. But you guys get to decide. Would anyone of you like to take that? Rohan, let's go with you first.
Yeah, this is a really good question. I think that the most troubling aspect of the college admission process is probably the essays. Um, the thing is, you can find a lot of the essay questions online before the application opens. And so, like, especially the UC PIQs, they are available. Like, you can probably find them right now. I'm pretty sure they're the same. So, if you can get ahead and start writing your essays or just getting an idea of what you want to write about, especially your Common App, it's pretty general. Um, I think that's a super important part.
Excellent. Thank you. And then Kira, what do you think?
Yeah, I also agree that the essays are definitely super important. And I think I did my Common App essay first, and then I was able to adapt it to the PIQ. So I would recommend doing that, like starting because that's a bit more, it can be more vague, and then you can kind of work with them multiple times. And I also would suggest making sure that your list is open at the beginning. I know I added a lot of like colleges kind of last minute, and one of them ended up being a really big contender for me. Um, and so maybe if I had like done a bit more research earlier, that would have been more successful. So I would definitely reach out to like counseling at school and like make sure you know what you're applying to, but also make sure to find things you wouldn't expect at first because you want to keep a wide like reach.
Yeah, finalizing a college list can be a bit tricky of a process, definitely. Excellent. Does anyone else want to take it before I move on to the next one? Slightly different answer. We're all good, same page? Okay. And then how did you figure out what you wanted to major in? So a bunch of you have like very particular ideas. Anyone want to share what that process was like? Mackenzie? Great.
So I decided to major in education because over the past couple of years, I've worked at a summer camp and I knew that I really enjoyed working with kids. So I took it as a sign that I wanted to do something in the future that I knew would fulfill me and that I knew would bring me the most happiness.
Lovely. Excellent. Jasleen. Oh, you're
So
still
for us, it's like a little different because we don't declare a major until probably like October of our freshman year at the earliest. Even now, like half of my class still hasn't declared, but I'd say thinking about like something that applies to like the real world and that you can do, but also that you really enjoy. So at the academy, it's a little different because your major really doesn't matter. But when you do decide to leave the Air Force, like something that will apply like outside of it.
Yeah. Okay. You do have a pretty unique experience in that way. And then anyone else wanna add one more thing? Vanya, Michael? Okay.
Yeah. So when choosing my major, I always thought about what I wanted to do as a career in the future, which is why I knew I wanted to go into medicine, which is why I chose a major in bio, because I thought that would be the best major that would help me. And I understand that not everyone really knows what they want to do or what major they want to pursue. And that's okay. That's what high school is for. It's to help you like broaden your scope and like try to figure out what you enjoy. And yeah, I just want to say that pursue something that you're passionate about. That helped me choose what major I wanted to do.
All right, excellent. The next question, let's start with this one that's a little bit more specific. How did you navigate the pressures of college applications and now being in college? Well, how did you navigate the pressure of college applications? Let's go with that first part. And then what kind of support or resources are available in college for mental health? So it's definitely two kind of different questions, but along the same lines of like managing the anxiety and the pressures of the college application process. And then once you're there, is anyone comfortable taking that one? Rohan and then Kiara? Cool.
This is a great question. I'll answer the first part about navigating pressures of college applications. Um, I think it's super important that you go to the College and Career Center. If you're at Los Altos, go see Mr. Rand. I remember seeing Kira and Jesleen there like every fourth period we lived there. Um, that was super helpful. Like go see Mr. Rand, Miss Lowe. It's really important and they'll really help you. Um, I think it'll give you a good foundation and a good start, and they'll help you with your essays and learning about different colleges and research. Super helpful.
Kiara, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. Go see Mr. Ann or Miss Lowe. Also, I would say if it's not someone who's an expert, like the person working in the College and Career Center, I would try and tune it out because I'm like a very high stress person. It kind of weighed on me. And I was like listening to all these people talk about stuff, and I was like, wait a second, what do these people know more than like I would? We're all just trying this like for the first time. I think my friends and I put a ban on college talk from like October to March because we could just we said we couldn't talk about it because it just wasn't productive. I feel like focus on people who know what they're talking about and then just live your life. Like you can't do anything. The applications are submitted, just exist. And then when it comes to college, there are tons of resources and they'll tell you usually at like your orientation. I know UCSB we have something called CAPS. Like there's free like basically every kind of anything you would need. There's like therapy, there's group therapy. Almost every organization like reaches out to you and is like, here are resources. All the professors, they'll tell you. And so when you're there, I wouldn't be worried about finding it.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Every college can kind of structure it differently, definitely. Sometimes they have like peer counselors as well. Vanya, would you like to add something else too?
Yeah, I was gonna add to the second question.
Mhm.
So for me at least, on like our floor dorms, our RA always on one of the bulletin boards puts up a bunch of mental health resources that like any freshman, I'm sure upperclassmen can too, but I know that there's so many different options for freshmen to use because the transition is hard. So for me at least, like if there's ever a time I do need to go like see something immediately, like I could go refer to that bulletin board and there's so many different things I could use.
Excellent. Thank you. I think what this person is asking about when they ask, how do you avoid procrastinating, is how do you avoid procrastinating, I think parts of the college application process, like how did you stay on top of the spreadsheet? What were ways that you made it manageable? I think is what this person's question is asking. Mackenzie or Jesleen or are you Mackenzie, right?
I had a lot of friends that were applying to similar places as me. So I think bouncing off ideas and, keeping each other accountable is really important. And having a support system during the process is really important. And also counting days till certain things are due is really a good way to approach it.
Yeah, a little countdown clock. Excellent. And then Jesleen, you're gonna add something.
Yeah, I think like focusing on stuff in the summer and like kind of getting it out of the way. Because I kind of dealt with the recruitment process, which was like slightly different too, as long as my application was 14 months long. So that was different. But yeah, just like being on top of stuff and getting it done really early so then you don't have to worry about it later when everyone else is kind of like struggling to like finish up and yeah.
Yeah, the recruitment process definitely does change things. Yeah, breaking it down into smaller pieces, I think can be really helpful too. Yeah, let's do the next one. Do you think do you think the amount of rigorous classes that you took, whether it's AP or honors, really, how do you think that affected your college admissions? Do you think it really helped? Let's start with Rohan.
Yeah, I think this is super important. I can talk from a UC perspective because that's what I know. Maybe someone else can answer after. Um, APs are very important. I took, I think, 11 or 12 in my throughout high school, and I came into Berkeley with like 60 something credits. So I placed out of like everything. And so I'm like a standing junior. I could graduate next year, which I don't want to do, but um, it's really important. But if you're gonna take that many, it's hard and focus on your grades as well. It comes at a price.
So to clarify for you, Rohan, you're saying that like you do think it helped, but also it's like putting you in a somewhat awkward position with the amount of credit you have. Is that
No, it's
no?
no awkward position.
Okay.
It's helped me a lot.
Okay. Cool. Thank you for clarifying. I think I saw Kiera's hand go up first, so I'll go to her next.
Kind of similar to Rohan, I also am like a year away from graduating, which has allowed me to add a minor and a double major. It's like super nice, and I don't have to do any science classes like here, which is so convenient because like college level biology is like not something I was entirely looking forward to. As for applying, that I think for applying from our district, I know it's like probably you need a rigor, but I do know a lot of people that are coming into my school without those levels of APs. I think it's part of a well-rounded application. It's not just that, but it's definitely something to consider if you have plans for doing like double majors in college or just it helps you prepare. Like my classes are similar to the AP structure.
Yeah, you were saying earlier that you felt very well prepared from Los Altos, so that makes a lot of sense. Let's do Vanya next and then Chesley.
For me, I would say it was very different because so in high school, I took 9 APs, but of which only 5 actually went towards my degree. So I got credit for all 9 of the classes, but not all of them gave me credit towards like actual classes at IU. So I did get through most of the gen ed requirements. I believe I just had one science left. So it was a little bit different because even though like I believe I am like first semester junior standing currently, but in terms of my degree, it didn't really make a difference. So like APs were definitely helpful for the gen ed part of like my credits, but not for like my major part of my credits.
Thank you. And then Chesley.
Yeah, so I actually validated nothing because we don't really take AP credit at all, but I do think it really helped like prepare you for like the actual classes, like especially freshman year at the Air Force Academy, like we're kind of dealing with like a ton of other stuff that you just like would not see anywhere else. And so like to not have to like focus on school as much because you've like had that content before, it's like really helpful. And just like the structure of the classes is kind of similar, but no matter like what your major is, like we take like about 25 core classes. So even if you're an English major, you are taking 200 level physics or chem or bio. So I do think it's like a good foundation, although I did not validate anything.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. Kiera, did you want to add one more thing?
Yeah, I just remembered something. One thing I've noticed, at least for UCSB, and I think is similar for other UCs, is that a lot of the GEs are humanities based. So I took some foothill classes that were like English and history, which put me way ahead. So I know, especially in our district, like STEM is super pushed, but the AP Englishes are so clutch. Like it's really great, guys. I would take those.
I agree. Yeah, a lot of the sessions tonight have been focused on STEM because so many people are interested in it, but I agree with you. And then for this question, I promise I will not be offended by any of your answers. We want to figure out what's the best for you and for families. Did you get a professional college counselor outside of your high school? And then was it helpful? So who would like to start? Mackenzie, thank you.
I personally didn't have a college counselor outside, and I think having an older sister who already went through the process was really helpful for me because she kind of was able to explore it. But I'm also a first generation, so me and my sister are the first ones to go to college, and that was a really interesting experience too, I think. So I think they can be helpful, but it's definitely doable without an outside help.
Older siblings could be pretty clutch in this scenario. I agree. Michael, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm in the same boat. I didn't have a professional college counselor, but in high school, I was a part of AVID, which was like a college prep program, and they helped me throughout the whole college process, and I'm really grateful to be a part of AVID. But I understand that not many people have those same opportunities, which is why I want to sort of nominate Miss Lowe for helping me out throughout the entire process. I feel like I was at the College and Career Center like every day trying to find scholarships that I could apply for, trying to get on top of my deadlines, and pretty sure that all the MVLA high school districts or all the high schools here, we have great resources for college prep. So you honestly don't need one.
And AVID is a particular class that you can take in high school here at Mountain View and at Los Altos for college preparation. And Vanya.
I did have a professional college counselor. I feel like it was definitely helpful because it was someone who helped me stay accountable and like keep track of my essays and help me with my essays. I also think this is maybe a little more specific for me, but my parents never went to college in the United States, so they didn't know how the process worked here. So it was definitely helpful in that sense too, because she would sit down and talk with them so that it wasn't like so that it didn't feel like my parents were constantly like on top of me since they didn't understand it, but with her they like started to get it a little bit, so it was a little bit easier in that sense too. But I definitely don't think it's like it was super necessary. I think for me it was helpful in some aspects, but yeah.
Excellent. And then if you're a high school panelist, we're going to get started with you guys soon. We're wrapping up with alumni still. Rohan, one more thing to add.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Vanya. I did also have a outside college counselor, and personally, I think it was super helpful. Um, I think it's hard to know exactly what to write about after doing all the things that you've done in high school. And so knowing what to write about and where is very important. And getting expert advice is also important. There's a lot of experts at Los Altos and Mountain View. And so try to reach out to all your resources and make use.
Yeah. So we have like 2 more minutes left. Would anyone like to share before we go, like anything that they haven't mentioned, like last parting words of wisdom for our parents or our students? Kiara, let's start with you.
I was just thinking about like when we were talking about finding majors and stuff, there's a lot that's like left to be discovered. If you asked me when I was like the beginning of senior year what I was gonna do, I had no idea. And honestly, I shouldn't have trusted what she was thinking because like what did I know like a year in advance? I feel like I've learned a lot and I've also changed like priorities. And I think you should keep an open mind and like know it will work out.
Thank you. Vanya, let's go with you next.
For me, my like one piece of advice is more for like after when you're deciding between colleges. For me, I was really stuck between three, and they were all in three different locations. One was in California, Indiana, obviously, and then Boston. And so for me, I think if I had not visited each college, I feel like I would have made the wrong choice because at least for me, like I knew I would be fine living like East Coast cold weather, but I know that some people can't handle it. And just like looking at the program and just like saying that, oh, I'm going to go here because the program's good. But if you can't handle, like, I have to go to class sometimes in 0-degree weather at 8 a.m. Like, sometimes it's difficult, but like, I knew that, like, I signed up for that and I knew I'd be fine with that. but I just know some people can't handle that, and that like really affects your like when you're at college, it really affects you. So I think taking into consider a location and seeing if you can actually picture yourself at the college is really important.
Thank you. Let's do Jasleen, and then we'll finish with Rohan, and then we'll go on to our high school participants.
Yeah, kind of similar to Vanya, like definitely thinking like if you're like gonna fit in there. So obviously the Air Force is like a big deal, but also thinking about like long term. So like I'm not paying for college and like we have a guaranteed job like straight out of graduation. And so definitely like thinking about like what's gonna get you far, not just like what you like want to do like in the moment.
Yeah, the military academy is not paying for your education at the moment. It's pretty great. Thank you for sharing, Jasleen. And Rohan, you last.
Yeah, last thing, I think this is not really advice, but it's a pro tip. Um, I think I think this is UC specific. I don't know about all the other UCs, but Berkeley, I know for sure if you are applying for an LNS major, um, you will go in once you get into Berkeley, you will be undeclared in LNS. So you can change your major within LNS without applying or anything. If you change colleges, it's a little bit different. But if you are in LNS and you apply, you get into something, you can change without doing anything. So keep that in mind. You can apply into whatever you want, change into whatever you want. Like I applied in political economy. Now I'm double majoring in econ and data science, and it didn't cost me anything. So I think that is one great thing to know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, alums. There were some wonderful gems of info, and you guys have such wonderful experiences. I really appreciate your time tonight. With that, have a great rest of your night. Good luck with your classes and all the double majoring and everything. Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye. All right, so with that, senior panelists, think I've renamed a bunch of you. I think there might be a few more people joining, but if you want to try turning on your camera to see if it works, that would be great. And I'm just going to keep on checking the list to make sure that I've promoted everyone. You all look wonderful. Dum, 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 dum. Is there any panelists? Is there any senior for the panel in the attendees who I haven't promoted? If that's the case, please use the Q&A and I'll promote you. I don't, based off the names that I see, I don't think there's anyone else at the moment. But you can use the Q&A. You can't use the chat. Dum, 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 dum. Okay. Right now, Jocelyn, you're going to have all the expertise from Los Alto. We are counting on you. You will be our expert, our guiding light. There might be someone else coming. So maybe they'll come, but I want to use your time wisely this evening. So thank you so much for the time to speak to these families and our community. We're going to go around first, and you're going to introduce yourself and your high school, and you're going to talk about what you would like to study in college and one of your favorite classes that you've had in high school, perhaps, or something, or another fun fact that you want to mention. And then I'll prompt who's going to go next for each question. We won't be staring at each other in silence. I'll just ask people. So with that, let's start with you, Rohan.
All right. Hi guys, my name is Rohan Dempsey and I go to Mountain View High School. For in college, I've been applying under biomedical engineering, so it's essentially like biotech. And I think my favorite class at Mountain View has been AP Chemistry, because for me, it was a really good mix of like math, applied math, and science. But you get to apply it in a really cool way to just taking pure math classes. Like you don't see what you're actually doing with it as much.
Nice. Alexandra, you next.
Hi guys, I'm from Mountain View too. My name's Alex, and I'm looking to major in computer science because I'm eventually looking to go into AI. And my favorite class in high school was Calc because I liked that it was the first class that really got me into upper division math and like trying all of these new things that were difficult, but at the same time gave me a deeper insight into how math works.
STEM, STEM, STEM. And then Jocelyn, how about you?
Hello, my name is Jocelyn and I go to Los Altos. My favorite class has probably been either like AP Chemistry, which I'm taking right now, just because my teacher is super supportive and I also think it's really interesting and I have great classmates. I've also enjoyed SEL, which is the Mountain View equivalent to Ambassadors, because that's always like really fun. And for college, I applied under biochemistry or health sciences.
What does SEL stand for, Jocelyn?
Oh, SEL is Student Community Leaders.
Cool, cool, cool. Excellent. Eric, what about you?
Hi, my name is Eric. I'm a senior at Mountain View High School. I'm also an Avid senior as well. I'm in the program Avid. And when applying to schools, I applied under business and specifically business administration.
Excellent, excellent. All right, thank you so much for joining us. So, question one. You are all second semester seniors. What do you wish you would have known about the college process 1 year ago when you were in 11th grade? Let's start with you, Alex.
I think the largest thing for me was just trusting the process because that's kind of something that everyone tells you to do, but you don't really believe it until you actually go through it. Because this entire time, for myself and for my friends, even with a carefully curated list of safeties, targets, and reaches, you're gonna get surprises. You're gonna get things that you're like, how did this happen? Like, how did I get rejected or how did I get accepted? In one way or the other, you just have to trust that you will end up in the right place for you. And I'm still navigating that myself, but you just have to have that confidence that you'll find the place that fits in the end.
All right, I like it. Jocelyn, what about for you?
I think my biggest thing is to start early because everybody would tell me to like start as soon as possible and I would put things off. I'd just be like, oh, I'll start this tomorrow or next week. And then summer was over. So I did start my UC application and my common application over the summer, but I didn't get as much done as I had hoped to. So it was a little overwhelming at the beginning of senior year. So my biggest thing is that it's a good goal to start early, but have a timeline and stick to it, especially if you know that you are kind of like iffy on things and not really disciplined about it. I think that would have been really helpful.
Yeah, that was something our alums were saying earlier as well. You're not alone. Eric, what about for you?
I would say that when you're writing your essays, the first one you do won't be your last. I think the best way to get a good college essay is to rewrite it as many times as you think you need to in order to find the right story to tell.
Very wise. And Rohan, what about for you?
I think for me, something I wish I had known was like how much time commitment it really takes to do colleges. There's people start in the summer and are still going like through winter break. But really, there's a lot of it that's up to you, how much time and effort you want to put in. But like if you really want to push yourself and give yourself the best chance, like I think you have to be like mentally ready to put in a lot of time to college apps.
Yeah. It sounded like all of you were doing college essays as part of your college application process. Like, what insights do you have besides what you've already shared, Eric, with younger students about maybe about essays, or maybe you want to focus more on like timeline stuff? Was there any like advice or suggestions that you have of like to-dos or not to-dos? Jocelyn, let's start with you.
I think my biggest advice would be to, again, start early, but also not get feedback from too many people because you don't want to lose your personal touch to your essay because it is your essay. And if you start early, I think it's just better because you could always just take a few days and not look at your essay and come back to it later with like a fresh set of eyes and just make it better. And if you keep doing that, I think you'll feel more confident when you submit it.
Yeah, giving a piece of writing some time to like sit and not look at it, I think is a really good tip. Eric, what about for you? Is there any like timeline advice that you were thinking of?
Timeline advice. I did write my first set of essays in my junior year.
Mm,
At the at the end of my junior year, I started writing my essays, and then I took a break over the summer, and then I started looking back at them, realizing that I had changed over those couple months. Things had changed for me, like what I wanted to go into and where I wanted to go. So I think that just keeping on revising and changing your essays would be best for you in the moment when you're applying to colleges.
that makes a lot of sense. Rohan.
I kind of agree with like the whole starting early thing. I think I kind of ended up not doing it as early as I wish I had. But aside from just like getting started early, I think organization of the essays is really important. You need to make sure that you know like what kinds of things you're going to write about. For college apps, every single college gets a thing called the Common App essay. So there's one essay that you send to every single school, and then you send out a bunch of like smaller essays to each individual school. So it's really useful to know like what kinds of things can you write essays about. And if as long as you know that you're not sending the same school three essays about like your same club, organization, or summer program, it's really easy to make sure you have a very like diverse set of essays that they can read.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. Organizing ideas for different like main statements and then supplementals is like that's a really smart thing to do. Anything else you'd like to add, Alex?
Yeah, so kind of along that same vein, something that was helpful for me was doing my UC PIQs and my Common App first, because those were kind of the longer essays. So those kind of a harder start. It also helped me draft out a lot of those ideas. And once I knew what my big Common App idea was, then I could figure out what I could do for my supplementals. And then I could also draw from the UC PIQs, because a lot of what was on those also applied to supplementals for other schools. Another thing that was helpful for me personally was doing the supplementals for my safeties first, because what I found was that college writing or college essay writing is a lot different than English essay writing. So it took me a lot of drafts, a lot of iterations to figure out what worked and what didn't. So starting with my safeties and then building up to my targets and reaches, I think helped create better essays for those ones.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. Yes, I agree. You got better at it. Question 3. How did you approach the college search? How did you connect with any schools? Any tips or recommendations that you want to share from your college search? Let's start with you, Eric.
Um, since I was in the Avid program, there has been a huge emphasis on college research and just really getting to know each and every single campus that could potentially put you at a good chance of success after college. So just really looking into each college and seeing the population size, seeing where it's located, seeing the climate, just conditions that wouldn't necessarily fit into the academic what you wouldn't see as very connected to your what you want to do academically, but you also want to remember that you could go to a very prestigious university and still not end up liking it. It's just more like doing your research first to see where you could see yourself at.
Yeah, thinking of your own preferences first. Excellent. Rohan, what do you think?
I think one important thing is balancing, like we were saying, the reach target safety schools. So you have to make sure there's a couple of places that you have a good chance of getting in. You can definitely shoot some long shots if you'd like. But I'd say for every single school you put on your college list, make sure you'd be happy attending there. Of course, if you don't get into schools that you 100% love, Foothill's a great option. 2 years, you can transfer to a UC. There's lots of different things, but make sure like when you're visiting colleges, it's someplace you'd actually be able to see yourself because you don't want to spend 5 hours writing essays for somewhere you wouldn't be happy.
Yeah, wise words. Alex, what about for you?
One thing that was helpful for me and might be a little more esoteric was just that I knew some upperclassmen who were going into the same major as me, so I was able to ask them what schools they applied to and their reasons, which helped me kind of get an initial list. And then from there, I was able to kind of cut it down, add other schools based on further research. But having that initial list made it feel a lot less intimidating. Also, another thing that was helpful was that the College and Career Center has visits from a bunch of the colleges. So if there's a school that you don't know a lot about or you want to learn more about, it's a great way to get introduced to that school, learn more about what they want, learn more about what they have, and then from there, it's either you have something to write your supplementals about or you have more information and you know how to fine tune your supplementals, or you can figure out that, hey, maybe this isn't the fit I want, and you can cross it off your list.
Good tip. Jocelyn, what about for you?
I'm also an Avid, and I've been a part of Avid since my freshman year. So they've had us researching colleges since freshman year. And through Avid, I also had the opportunity to tour multiple schools, and I think that's really helpful because you actually get to kind of like you get an idea of how it is to be a student there. So if you have the opportunity to visit a college, I think you should definitely take it. And it's also really important to have like a clear idea of what you want. Like, do you prefer smaller, larger school? Like, do you care about the sports division that they're in and all that stuff should play a role in your decision. These factors like aren't aren't the biggest thing, I guess, but it's definitely something that you should consider. And I think the best thing you could do is just like make a list of what you like and what you kind of don't care about. Like personally, I don't really care about the sports. If it's a big like D1 school, then that's always a pro, but it also won't really matter if it's like a D3 school. And for me, I didn't have to pay for any of my college applications. So if you're in the same boat, I think just kind of like shoot your shot. Like, yes, you should definitely put some safeties and targets, obviously, but I did apply to quite a few reaches because why not? So.
It is important to shoot your shot. And sometimes I tell students that you have a stronger reaction to what you are not looking for than what you are looking for. So to pay attention to those preferences as well. Yeah. You might know where you're headed next fall, or maybe you're still deciding. How do you feel about your college options, academic and social preparations, the next chapter in your future? How are you feeling about what you're thinking of for the fall? Let's actually go back to you, Jocelyn. Let's start us off. Yeah.
Yeah, right now I'm feeling like excited and a little bit nervous just because I'm not sure where I'm going to be next fall or this fall actually. But
Mhm.
I'm very excited just because I know that wherever I'll end up, like I'll make the most of it. And I think high school, like Los Altos did a good job preparing me for it. We have such a good education through the MVLA district, so I don't think that's really a problem. Like all the alumni that I've talked to have always told me like, oh yeah, college courses are so light compared to like AP courses here, so I don't think that will be a problem. And for the Q&A, I think a really helpful class that maybe helped me a little bit with college apps is AP Lang, just because we do a project at the end of the year, which is called Tapestry, where we basically just put a bunch of our writing pieces together, and mostly all of them, if not all of them, are like basically anecdotes of our lives and like lessons and just like different writings of our life and like lessons we've learned. So that was really helpful for my supplementals.
Excellent. And then Rohan, what about for you? What are you thinking of for next fall? How are you feeling about things?
I'd say I'm definitely feeling excited. College stuff is still coming back, so I'm not sure how sure everybody is about where they're going, but I definitely think it's going to be fun. Socially, like college, you guys are going to hear this a lot. College is completely different. You can be whatever you want to be because nobody knows who you were before. But and then going back to the academic point, I think that like the MVLA district is one of the best places in the world to prepare for college. We have an insane amount of AP courses available. If you're feeling like you want a challenge, you can go over to Foothill and take some dual enrollment classes. Like if you find something that you're genuinely passionate about, it's really easy for you to go out there and find very challenging stuff that's going to help you in college.
Yeah. And then Eric, what about for you?
Right now I'm just, yeah, like Jocelyn said, I'm very anxious because I don't know where to go. I don't know, like my options are pretty good, and it's just there is a lot to consider, like economic or like economic help that I'm gonna get. Any other things I also need to consider that I haven't considered before. Just trying to choose the college that best fits me is very long and very 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 not painful, but very hard process.
A lot of different things to decide about. Yeah. And then Alex, what about for you this fall?
Yeah, like Rohan, I'm still weighing a few decisions, but I like some of the colleges I've gone back, so I'm not feeling as stressed about it. But generally, I'm excited to go to college. It's gonna be a lot of change, and I know it's gonna be kind of scary, but I'm really excited to just try it out and see how it goes. And also, like Jocelyn was saying, all of the alumni I've talked to have said that MVHS has prepared them really well for the academic rigor. I've actually heard too that the classes are of similar difficulty, but the stress levels are lower. So I'm feeling academically prepared for wherever I go.
Right. Let's go over to one of the questions in the Q&A before we go to our last question together. So just raise your hand. You can use the Zoom feature or you can physically raise your hand if you'd like to answer this question. Are there any classes you wish you took that would have helped with college applications? So Jocelyn already answered this one, I think, right? AP English Language and Composition. Anyone else want to add on a class that helped them, Rohan?
Yeah, so this wasn't a class that I took, but I've heard a lot about it. When you go into senior year, there's a class called AP Literature. I'm not gonna lie at all. It's a very hard class. There's a lot of writing that comes with it, but the thing that I've seen is that you get so much better at writing just by being in that class because they practice it so much. And as you start writing like essays for college applications in the same season, like I've been able to read some of the essays from kids in AP Literature and they're just like it's so obvious that they know what they're doing. So if you want to challenge yourself and you like English and you want to help with college essays, I would definitely recommend that.
All right, AP Literature. All right. If there are any other questions in the Q&A, please add them in now. Let's go to our last question, and then maybe there'll be more questions in the Q&A. So is there anything else that you'd like to share? Any words of wisdom for people who are approaching their senior year of high school that you feel could really be helpful? Let's start with you, Alex.
I think the biggest thing is just try to find the balance. It's really difficult, I'll admit, because there's always the pressure of college apps in the background and wondering if you could do more, if you could edit the essay. But it's also really important to find that balance between academics, extracurriculars, college app, and just free time, time to relax, time to spend with family. Because in my experience, especially towards the end, towards Thanksgiving break and winter break, it's really easy to burn out if you don't take that time. But that's especially the time that you don't want to burn out because all of the stuff starts to be due. So just find that balance, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. What about for you, Jocelyn? Any words of wisdom?
I think since it's your senior year, you should participate in every senior activity or event. It's really fun and a once in a lifetime experience. So yeah, you'll always be worried about college apps, but you should believe in yourself and just like try your hardest, you know. You put in all the work in for 4 years and it'll pay off.
Lovely. Eric, what about for you?
I would say that yes, the first semester can be stressful and because of college apps and also school, but at the same time, second semester won't be as easy as people usually think because you also have to apply for scholarships and other programs that would get you ready for college. So just keep in mind that there's always work that needs to be done even after the college application process is done.
Okay, and then Rohan.
I really liked the earlier point about like it's senior year, there's not a lot of risk, go try something new. I know a lot of people around me have been doing that, but the other thing I would say is like don't don't like get on yourself over college applications. It's really easy to be mad that you didn't get into a college. It's a lot harder to be like really happy that you got into somewhere. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to get into every college if you're applying to colleges that are above your level. So be happy with what you have and don't like stare at the people around you and be mad that they got somewhere else.
That's very, very true. It's a really good point. We have another question in the Q&A. So raise your hand if you want to answer it. What activities do you find the most helpful for your college application? So like, was there any club that you did, any volunteering, like anything outside of class that you felt like was helpful for college apps? Alex, yeah.
One thing that was helpful for me was side projects, especially for because I'm gonna major in computer science, being able to tell the stories of I built this project and this is how I did and this is the influence and impact it had on people, I think was one way that helped me stand out in my application and show how I was applying CS to my life and why it was actually important to me. So if there's a way for you in any major to show why you want to major in that and what influence it has in your life. If there's any way to do that, whether it's through projects or just involving yourself in clubs that do things, I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, side projects are really helpful. Rohan.
Yeah, so I 100% agree with that. Passion projects are a really big thing that can help with college apps. I would say the one other thing that I found incredibly useful was actually summer activities. I think somebody just said in the chat, but being able to spend like a summer that you have free, you can go do something you enjoy over the summer, but being able to write about that in a free essay, when you put it on your application, maybe you get a letter of rec from a mentor there. You get a lot of experience, and it looks like you've been doing a lot of activities outside of school. So I would highly recommend that. There's free ones, there's some paid ones, but if you try hard enough, you can definitely find something fun to do.
Okay, and then Jocelyn.
I agree with everything everyone else said, but not only is it important to have a bunch of like experience outside of school, it's also really important to make sure that that's just not all over the place and it's kind of concentrated in your interests and you're not just doing things to for the sake of doing them. Like personally, since I'm interested in like sciences, I volunteer at my local hospital and I'm also part of some science clubs. But on top of that, I was also part of our Latino Student Union for like since my freshman year because that's like a part of who I am. And I think it really helped me showcase that in my college apps because I was able to talk about my leadership experience on like my supplementals or my PIQs.
Excellent. And then um, what do you guys think about timeline wise with starting to get help at Mountain View or Los Altos, whether it's from a academic school counselor or a college counselor? What was like that timeline for you guys for like staying on top of things, would you say? Alex, yeah.
I think the middle of junior year is a good place to start because that can just get you thinking about the types of colleges you might want to apply to, what you might want to apply for. And then generally, I think it ramps up a little once summer starts and once senior fall starts. And I think it can actually be even more helpful to meet more times with your counselor then and just ask all of your questions, figure out whatever you need to figure out. And for example, I know at Mountain View, they give essay feedback, so that was something really helpful for me. And I met a bunch of times with Miss Lowe to get that feedback and edit my essays.
Excellent. Eric, what about for you?
I would say to start getting ready, I would say at the beginning of your junior year, just because junior year can be very stressful and and it's stressful not only because it's like the hardest year, you're taking the hardest classes, the most APs, but also at the same time there's more of an emphasis to start thinking about what you want to do and how you're going to apply to college and the process of it all. So definitely when you start your junior year, that's the best time, but really just there is no real set time to, but just being informed, just trying to stay informed throughout your junior year of what's potential to come, and just being aware of anything that you need to do in order to be ready.
Excellent. Thank you. And then Rohan, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what everyone else said. Junior year, either beginning or middle, is a good time to start talking with a counselor about college. But one small thing I would say is that it's also very useful if you have like the time or the resources to talk to counselors earlier in your high school career. And honestly, if it's just to talk about like what summer programs might you apply to, what courses are you going to take, it's really nice to have somebody there to help you plan out what you're going to do even before you just start writing essays.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I know you have so many other important things to do, but I really appreciate your perspectives and sharing it with our families. And have a wonderful rest of your night. And with that, good night, everyone. Thank you.